Welcome back, and we're going to get into the last part of 7.3, I promise, which is inverse variation. So if two values x and y vary inversely, then as x increases or decreases, y decreases or increases. So it does exactly the opposite. As one goes up, the other comes down. As one goes down, the other comes up. So you got to set it up a little bit differently than you would when it varies directly. So don't use a proportion. That is the key thing. Whenever you see varies inversely, do not use a proportion. You have to set up an equation. So instead of dividing those two pieces on one side, you're multiplying the two pieces on the same side. So you can see the two g's. So they're given. They multiply together, and that's one side, and then the other two pieces multiply together to give the other side. That's the only difference. So let's see it in action. Okay, so solve the problem if s varies inversely as t and s equals 3.6 when t equals 1.6. Find s when t equals 1.2. So what do we expect is going to happen to s? Look at what happens to t. T is at 1.6 to start, but then it goes down. So we would expect s to go up. So your equation now, we have these two pieces that go together, so we have to multiply them. So we got 3.6 times 1.6, and that's going to be equal to s times 1.2. So now let's make sure we multiply, right? 3.6 times 1.6 equals 5.76. So 1.2s. So now we can do our division to get rid of the 1.2. So let's divide by 1.2. So 4.8. So we can definitely see that s got bigger. T got smaller, but s got bigger. So we're good. Let's see another one. P varies inversely as q to the second power, q squared. P is equal to 4 when q is a half. Find P when q is 3 halves. So now q is getting bigger, so we would expect P to get smaller. Okay, so now 4 and 1/2 go together, but be careful, don't forget the squared. So because these go together, it varies inversely, we got to multiply those pieces. So 4 times 1/2 squared. So that's the left side, and now we don't know what P is, but we got to square Q. So 3 halves squared. Now just take your time with it. Let's take care of the exponents first. So when we're squaring 1/2, it's a half times a half, so that should be a quarter, not 1. And so on this side, 3 halves times 3 halves. So what's that going to be? Should be 9/4. Yeah. Okay, well, I'm going to do a little bit of simplifying over here. So 4 over 1 times 1 over 4, that better be just equal to 1, right? And I'm going to flop the 9/4 in front of P. All right. So now how do we get rid of that 9/4? Well, there's an easy way to do it. You can think of it as dividing, you can think of it as multiplying, whichever one sticks in your brain better, it's fine. But because we're essentially multiplying by 9 and dividing by 4, we want to do the opposite. So we got to do that on both sides though. So 4 over 9 times 1, 4 over 9 times 9 over 4p. So we're doing the same thing on both sides of the equation, so that's legal. And so, but now we can see that the 4's cancel, the 9's cancel, so all you have left is the p. And then 1 times 4/9, well, that better be 4/9. So P is equal to 4/9, which means it's right because P was equal to 4 initially. It went down to P equals 4/9. So we're good. All right, let's try two more. A little more wordy. Yay. If the temperature is constant, the pressure of a gas in the container varies inversely, so there's our key words, as the volume of the container. If the pressure is 10 pounds per square inch in a container with a volume of 3 cubic feet, what is the pressure in a container with a volume of 1.5 cubic feet? So again, they're looking at pressure and volume. Those are the two variables in this case. So we can use P and V. So the pressure is 10 pounds, so P equals 10 with a volume of 3. What is the pressure when the volume is 1.5? Now, it varies inversely. So even though I wrote it like this, you might be thinking proportion. Don't. Don't think proportion. We've got to multiply those pieces together. So 10 times 3 equals P times 1.5. So now we can say, okay, 3 times 10 is 30, and we can flip-flop the other side, and then we can divide. So P equals 20. Now we got to just make sure we use the right units. So what would be the units on P? What's the units for pressure? Pounds per square inch. Pounds per square inch. So we got P is equal to 20 PSI, pounds per square inch. Now, if you wanted to write it with more letters, pounds per, you could write it that way as well. So either one would be fine. Okay, one more, and we're done with this section. Yay! All right, so natural gas provides 35.8% of U.S. energy. Whoop-de-doo, doesn't help us with the problem. The volume of gas varies inversely as the pressure and directly as the temperature. Ooh. If certain gas occupies a volume of 1.3 liters at 300 K, now 300 K, if you're not sure what K is temperature, so Kelvin, and pressure is 18 newtons, find the volume at 340 K and a pressure of 24 newtons. All right, so we got volume, we got temperature, and we got pressure. So we got three variables that we got to worry about: volume, temperature, and pressure. So what do we got to start? We got a volume of 1.3, we got a temperature of 300, and we got a pressure of 18 newtons. So all three of those pieces go together, and then find the volume, so we don't know what that is, when the temperature is 340 and the pressure is 24. Okay, so now let's go back to the beginning again. The volume of a gas varies inversely as the pressure and directly as the temperature. Now here's the way I like to think of it. When we said it varies directly, we could set up a proportion. Well, essentially, we're dividing those pieces that go together. But when it was inversely, we had to multiply those pieces together. So basically, the volume has to be multiplied by the pressure and divided by the temperature. So that's how we can put these pieces together. The volume is multiplied by the pressure and divided by the temperature. Okay, so 1.3 times the pressure, so times 18, divided by the temperature, 300. So as long as we put them in that order on the other side, we should be fine. So the volume we don't know, times the pressure, which is 24, divided by the temperature. So that should be our equation. So now we just got to be careful, simplify it, and then we're good to go. So let's do our unknown cross product first. So we got the 300 and we got the V and then we got the 24. So we can multiply 300 times 24. So that's going to be 7,200. 7,200 V. And then we got all three of these pieces multiplied together. So I'm going to use a calculator just to be safe. 1.3 times 18 not divided by, all three are multiplied together. 1.3 times 18 times 340 equals 79.56. So now if we divide by 7,200, we get 1.105. So now the last piece is make sure you put the units on there. If it's a word problem, there's probably going to be units. So volume of 1.3 liters. So this is going to be in liters. So capital L. All right. And so that should be it. Now this one's a little bit harder to predict what's going to happen because you got multiple variables going on. So it's kind of hard. So, but in any case, we do have our answer. So, and it looks like it's in the realm of possibility. So we're probably right. Okay. Well, that wraps up this section. So now we're going to be skipping 7.4 and we're jumping into 7.5 next. So we'll see you in 7.5.